Hello everyone, this is your guy Rajat from Rain Studios. So, can you figure out a difference between these three lines of programming syntax? To give you a hint, these three lines belong to three different languages. Can you figure out which one is which? I can give you 5 seconds to do that. Okay, so we are done. So, here are the names of the languages. So at the very top we have got JavaScript with flow typing. If you don't know about flow, it's a static type checker for JavaScript which you can use in your current JavaScript application. The second syntax belongs to Swift and the third syntax is from Kotlin. So a recent encounter with Kotlin made me to believe that most of the tech giants are in some way moving towards a universal language. Now, I'm not talking about the implementation part of how languages interact with the underlying hardware and the other SDKs, but I'm talking about the syntax. I am talking from a perspective of a developer who uses these language to build customer facing applications. So as we can see here that all three of these languages look very similar. So in this scenario we can say that in future polyglot programming is going to be very easy. If you are not aware of what polyglot programming is, I have written a full blog post describing what polyglot programming is. To give you a brief summary about what it is when you can write a program which offers same set of functionality using many languages. Like you can write a JSON parser with JavaScript and you can also write that same parser with same specific in C++ as well. Then you can call yourself a polyglot programmer. So from these three syntax we can conclude that all of the major tech giants or our tech community is trying to create a language or a syntax where everything is defined with var and vol, and we write type information after a semicolon, right? So this is a kind of syntax which is going to dominate in near future as all of the major languages are adopting this sort of syntax. So there is this whole website detailing that Swift is like Kotlin. So you can go to this website and you can compare Kotlin and Swift side by side, and then you can figure out the similarities between the syntax of these two languages. I think it's a really great move because in my post I have also described the ugly sides of polyglot programming. See, I work on projects where I have to program the backend and the front end. So the backends are mostly written in server side languages like JavaScript or PHP. I primarily use JavaScript nowadays because I seriously don't have a bandwidth to learn the specifics of PHP, and also JavaScript is evolving at a very fast pace as compared to PHP. Hence, I have moved to the JavaScript camp completely. I don't care about PHP now, or I'm not saying that PHP is not a good language or things like that, but still I prefer to write my code in Node.js and JavaScript using ES6 notation and async await sort of functionalities and everything that is there. So on the back end I am using JavaScript, then on the front end I have to switch my programming language to either Kotlin or Java, or I am not trying to say that I am a Kotlin developer because I have started using Kotlin only 2 days back. So I certainly am not a Kotlin developer, although I am trying to step up my Kotlin game. So when I am building Android applications, I am forced I think that is right word, because I don't certainly want to code in Java, although I am very comfortable with the language. That's what I have used during my college years, but still I don't prefer coding in Java. So but when I am trying to build an Android application, I have to use Java. Then on the backend, I have to switch again and go back to JavaScript. So this creates a conundrum, because I have to use two different syntaxes, and this creates confusion in my mind, like what syntax should I be using. Sometimes I write JavaScript syntax in Java code, and sometimes I do vice versa, which actually is quite hard to debug, right? Sometimes I mix up notation, sometimes I mix up how to define functions in what language, right? So but once we have got this sort of thing in place, I mean when it is fully integrated and everybody is using languages like these, I think polyglot programming is going to be quite fun, or it is going to be quite easier as compared to as it was an year back, because earlier I had no knowledge about this Kotlin thing, and I have never programmed in Swift. I have never released a single iPhone application, so I don't really know about Swift. But last year I did take an Udacity course where I learned how to write applications for iPhones and iPad using Swift language. It was just for the educational purposes, although my plans were to release some application, but then I invested in learning React Native, and I am very happy with the direction React Native is going in. So I can use JavaScript on both mobile and the backend. So I don't really have to switch language. But if this sort of syntax does get prevalent uses, or everybody starts using this sort of syntax and all, I think it is going to be very useful for programmers like me, because now we don't really have to be concerned about getting the syntaxes wrong, or by hearting the syntaxes of the languages we use day to day. Although you can disagree with my statement that one has to learn the syntaxes, because you might argue that if you know a language pretty well, or if you call yourself a professional, then you should be aware of the syntaxes of the languages you use day to day. But I disagree with that, because a programmer who is not working for an organization, or who is working on his own things, works with many different layers of software, and every single layer of software has its own DSL, that is domain specific language. So for front end we have got these JavaScript and Kotlin and Swift. At the back end we have got Node.js. Then we also have a contender in form of PHP. Then we can also use Ruby on Rails. So there are certain alternatives available at every single stage. So I think when all of these new language adopt a similar sort of syntax, it is going to be a hell lot easier for us guys who are writing consumer facing software, so as to give us some free time. I mean the time that we otherwise would have devoted to reading the documentation, or the figuring out the syntaxes of these languages, right? So we can save all of their trouble. Now we can just use var and val and let and const to define our variables and constants, and then we can use similar sort of functional notation. We can use similar sort of lambda notation in order to write our functional programming stuff, right? So I think that all of this progress indicates that we are indeed trying to move, or we are trying to create a universal programming language. So in case you are interested in learning more about this sort of stuff, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to Rain Studios YouTube channel, because I publish such kind of videos besides full hands-on tutorial on this channel. Take care. Bye bye.